Hello, 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 everyone. So welcome to this live. Just give me a second. Let me share this out to the group, and then we'll jump into this. Um, so for those of you watching from YouTube, welcome. If you would like to subscribe to my channel, please feel free to do so. For those of you following from my Facebook page, please feel free to like my page and follow me. Okay, perfect. If you are watching, feel free to say hi, um, and let me know where you're watching from. I'm going to post a comment to Facebook as well. So anybody wanting personal readings, there is a comment in the comments or a link in the comments of where you can get personal readings. These are collective readings. So today we're going to look into what you guys are being a victim to. So lots of us fall into victim traps and we victimize ourselves to different things within our lives. So we're going to look into what we are subjecting ourselves to within our lives or being a victim to, what we're giving power to within our lives, and how this can kind of overcome, this can be overcome. I wonder if I can start that too. I don't know what that means, but oh, that's not what I wanted to do. I'm going to take that off of there. Okay. So, we're going to jump into this. If you guys are watching, comment 1, 2, or 3 in the comments below, and let me know which one you pick. I've already pre-shuffled them because I'm on a bit of a time cinch. My kids are going to be coming home from school pretty soon, so I pre-shuffled these, and we're going to go over what we got. So we're going to start with pile 1s, and then we'll move into pile 2, and then pile 3. Let me organize these a little bit. Okay. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, so we're going to jump into these readings. Again, what are we being a victim to? So if you are feeling like you're being a victim to something, let's see what it is. So if you guys like number 1, this is what we're gonna do a reading on. Brenda, you picked 2. Awesome. Okay, so number 1 in the cards, we're using the Power of Surrender Oracle cards, as well as, because people always ask me, as well as the holographic Rider-Waite cards as well. People are always curious to know what cards I'm using. So, pile 1s, we have surrender your attachments to results coming up. Okay, you guys might be perfectionists. I feel like that. We have the 9 of Pentacles coming up, along with the Queen of Pentacles, the Temperance card reversed, the Knight of Pentacles reversed, and the 2 of Swords reversed. So if you guys chose pile number 1, let me put these back in order here. First thing is first, you are victimizing yourself to results. You are, I feel like, a bit of a perfectionist, right? You demand high results of things, and you are really a victim to achieving these results, right? You are victimizing yourself to reaching those results, to being on that level. I feel like. So you guys are really, really big perfectionists, and because of that, you fall into this victim trait or this victim kind of mentality when you don't succeed, when you can't reach the results that you are attaining to reach. when you guys set out for things, you like to reach the results that you set out to reach. And sometimes that's not always attainable, right? Sorry, my husband is always turning around when I try to do these readings. Um, so sometimes they're not always attainable results. And what I feel like this is coming from is a lot of pressure from people. You may be currently in a situation right now. I don't feel like this comes from like early on in age, childhood. I feel like this comes from circumstances because this is upright. I feel like this is present energy instead of like maybe past energy. But I do feel like this stems from being pressured to be successful. You guys may work around a lot of successful people, or you may have a lot of successful people in your environment in general, whether that's in your home, like maybe your partner's really successful, or your family that you live with is really successful, or you work in a very prestige place and the people you work with is very successful. The environment you work in is very results driven, right? You may even have a career where it's very results driven. So there is a lot of pressure put on you to be successful, to get results, to to be perfect, so to speak. That's where this is coming from, and this is in the present. So you guys definitely we need to work past that. So the cards that came up for how to work past that is to just be a little gentler on yourself. Okay? I got you just have to be a little bit more gentler. Like you guys, we have the Queen of Cup or the Queen of Pentacles coming up, and this is this is being gentler on yourself. I also got um the phrase of you can only do what you can do, right? Don't expect miracles of yourselves, guys. You're not miracle workers. um, yes, we're capable of manifesting lots and lots and lots of different things in this world, but we're not miracle workers, right? Nobody is. So if you are setting your expectations way up here and you're setting expectations to achieve things that are way up here when your ability level is down here, those are unrealistic expectations because then you really have to push yourself to get to this level. And that's not always a bad thing. But sometimes being up here, you can't get up here when you're down here sometimes. If you're not in a position where you have the tools and ability to advance up to here, then that's a problem, right? So don't expect too much of yourselves. Be a little bit gentler with yourselves. Understand that there is only so much that you can do. Okay, there is only so much that you can achieve within this physical life. You can't have it all. I do feel like some of you too, you're falling into victimization of this mentality of I need to have it all. I need to have it all. Especially with this Nine of Pentacles coming up of where this stems from, you're used to being around people who do have everything that they want, who do have everything that they could ever possibly desire, right? But what you don't see is the work that went into that. This Nine of Pentacles here this person did not get to where they are without hard freaking work. Like they have worked their asses off to get there. Okay, and I feel like that's what you're not seeing. Like you don't see all the energy put behind that to manifest where they are now, all the work, all the time, all the energy that has been put into that. So yes, they're where they want to be and they have everything in life, but they have worked their asses off to get there, right? And if you work your ass off, you can get there too. But um it's not that this isn't attainable, it's just you can't have it all, right? Sometimes we want, how am I gonna put this? Um, Sometimes we want more than we're capable of attaining. I feel like at this present point. Like you may be at a point in the future where you can manifest this Nine of Pentacles. But right now, you are at like a 7 of Pentacles or a 8 of Pentacles or 6 of Pentacles. You know what I mean? Like the Pentacles go through that process. You start at the Ace and you get all the way to the 10, right? This 9 of Pentacles still isn't totally where they want to be because they still have to move to the 10. So they still don't have it all, even though you may think they do. So you need to really surrender yourself, start nurturing yourself, start taking care of yourself as well. I feel like some of you are very much workaholics and your physical health gets neglected because of that. So be careful of falling into this victimization of being a workaholic. You guys are very much, it's not just the results that you're addicted or that you're victimized to, it is work. Like you guys are literally addicted. And it's funny because when I first pulled cards the first time, I was asking what people were addicted to. And then I had to reshuffle the cards because I'm like, that's not what I was doing the readings on. So I feel like addictions play into these readings, right? We stress ourselves to get to these results because we're literally addicted to some sort of energy that lies behind this, and this is why we fall victim to it. Does that make sense? I feel like you guys are addicted to work, pile one. You guys are addicted to work, and as a result of that, you are victimizing yourself to the results you get through work. And you just need to take some time to nurture yourself. Make sure that you are taking care of yourself. Understand that you are only capable of so much, and you cannot go past where you are at right now, right? We can grow, we can expand, we can learn new things, we can adapt to new things, we can grow, but you're at where you're at. I feel like that's another thing, making peace with where you're at, not necessarily looking at, and envying people who are ahead of you because you're not there. Just making peace with where you're at, um, and where you presently are. We do have the Temperance card coming up with the Knight of Pentacles and the Two of Swords. All of these are reversed. These are talking about internalized energies, I feel like, and these are the cards, like I said, making peace with where you're at, right? Temperance is about patience, but it's also about balance and integration. The Nine of Pentacles is about moving forward, but when it's reversed, it's about being still, sitting in the present moment and being okay with where we're at, not looking ahead, not looking back, not looking forward, not thinking about the past, not thinking about the future, just being here in the present. I feel like that's something that's going to help you. And the Queen of Pentacles is very much a in the present kind of energy, right? She's just here. So for those of you who are pile ones, that is what you can do to kind of pull yourself out of this victim mentality, is realize that you are only capable of doing what you can do and strive for your best. Strive for the maximum of what you're capable of doing. Learn, expand, and grow. And as you do that, your capabilities will expand and you'll become capable of doing more. Don't envy other people. And also make sure that you are taking time to nurture yourself so that you are taking breaks from work. Make sure that you're taking, even on your days off, that you're taking time to take care of yourself. Don't put so much emphasis on the results of things. Just be pleased with where you are and where you're at in the present moment. That makes sense. For pile twos, if you chose pile two, we have surrender comparisons with other people. It's funny, I don't feel an addiction behind this at all. So we have the cards that came up for this. We have the Three of Pentacles. We have the Eight of Pentacles. We have the Page of Pentacles. We have the King of Swords. We have the Knight of Swords. We have the Emperor. We have the Five of Swords. And then we have the Nine of Cups. So, and those were reversed. It's funny, in readings, everything happens for a reason. So those were reversed. You have to reverse things. Okay. So, first of all, we're going to get into what you're addicted to. What are you falling victim? See, I keep wanting to say addicted. What are you falling victim to? Comparisons with other people. That's what you're falling victim to. You guys are very much comparing yourselves with other people. You are not other people, okay? Stop comparing yourselves to other people. I feel like also this isn't just comparison, like you guys are very, very influenced by other people's inputs. Like you guys are the ones who care about what other people say and think about you. You're very, very influenced by other people in general. I feel like some of you could, I know this is going to sound bad, and I'm not picking on Libras, but that's kind of the energy that comes in, is like this Libra type energy, because Libras are known to be people pleasers, right? And sometimes they often take into consideration what other people think, and that's not always a bad thing, but you can the shadow side of Libra can take it to the extreme where they end up becoming everything that everybody else wants them to be, and they take everybody's criticism to heart, and then they start changing who they are to make other people happy, right? They start comparing themselves to other people. This is not what you want to do, guys. So you're a victim of comparisons. You're a victim of comparing yourself to other people. Stop doing that. Where this comes from. Oh boy. Okay. It's interesting because we have the Three of Pentacles coming up. We have the Eight of Pentacles coming up, and the Page of Pentacles coming up, for where this is coming from. I feel like, especially with the Page of Pentacles and the Three of Pentacles, again, I feel like this is work. Or at least other people in your lives that you idolize, okay? So this might not be necessarily work. There's a lot of pentacle energy coming up in all of these readings. So I feel like this is like physical worlds. Like we're looking at what people physically have as opposed to what we have. We're looking at, we're comparing ourselves to other people's successes and other people's, what other people have in comparison to what we have, instead of just being okay with what we have and where we're at with things. I feel like for you guys, this has come from people you admire, almost people you have learned from. Because the Three of Pentacles is coming up along with the Page of Pentacles, and both of these cards have to do with learning, okay? So the Three of Pentacles has to do with working together, but generally this is like the mentorship card, right? And the Eight, or the Page of Pentacles, is the student. So you have the teacher or mentor and the student. I feel like this is coming from a situation where you guys have learned from somebody, you've idolized them, and you're like, I want to be like them. And instead of this becoming a healthy thing, and you like look up to them and you set that as a goal to kind of be like them, you don't hold on to your authenticity. You don't do it in a way that is authentic like you. Instead, these are the people who are like, I want to be like you, and so I'm going to start talking like you, acting like you, dressing like you. I'm going to be you. Instead of saying, well, I want to get to where they are, but I'm going to do it in a way that's authentic to me. Right? You guys are kind of getting caught up and you're becoming these people. You want to be where they are. You idolize them. But instead of idolizing them in a healthy way, you almost obsess over them, and you begin to take on their identity. Is any of this resonating? And it's like you start to doing things like them, right? The Eight of Pentacles, you guys start doing things like them. instead of doing things your own way, your own unique way. It's almost like you embody their energy. You start talking like them, you start acting like them, you start doing things like them, right? This could be, like I said, somebody you trained with. This could even be a work situation where you're apprenticing or doing something along the lines of that, or an internship or something. And instead of taking in what you are learning and adapting it to fit your style, you start doing everything the same way everybody else does it. Because you're like, I want to be like them, right? um, you idolize them. That's the energy I'm getting. You idolize them. So how do you move past this energy? How do you get out of this victim mentality, right? Of or this victimization of comparing yourself with other people and becoming them and carrying things. You have to literally dump out this and you have to, how am I going to word this? Okay. So we have the Nine of Cups coming up. And like I said, I feel like for some of you that this is adapting things. For some of you, this is another whole thing of, caring what people think. And it's still coming from the same thing. Like you may have been trained, or you may have had a lot of people telling you that you need to do things this way, or you're not doing things right, or you're not doing things, you know what I mean? And people naysaying in your ear constantly. So you take everything what they say to heart instead of, and you start allowing this to influence your being and your self-confidence. I feel like for some of you, this is actually pulling your self-confidence down as well because you don't feel like you're good enough. You don't feel like you can ever be like them or meet their expectations of you. Um, I don't even feel like really meet their expectations, but you just don't feel good enough. You guys really have to work on some sacral or some second, sorry, not second. Oh my God. Third chakra stuff. Work on opening up your sacral chakra. So your sacral chakra sits in the area that's like your septum, where your, or not your septum. That's not the word I'm looking for, where your rib cage meets, your sternum. Close enough. I can't think today. So you guys have to, work on the sacral solar plexus chakra. Solar plexus chakra and opening up. Awesome. You guys need to work on that solar plexus chakra. So the solar plexus chakra, what it connects to, it's an energy center in our body. I know not everybody knows what chakras are. So chakras are energy centers in our body that connect to different things. The solar plexus chakra is connected to our sense of self. It is connected to our personal power. It is connected to our self-esteem. It is connected to our sense of self, knowing who we are and being confident in who we are. Okay. So it's not just knowing who we are, it's being confident in who we are. So when we get told things that we kind of take to heart, sometimes that can filter down and it can affect our self esteem, right? Can make us feel less than. And that causes a dysfunction in the solar plexus chakra. It weakens it. Um, Now, on the other side of that, some people have an overactive solar plexus chakra where they end up being very arrogant and egotistical and they think they're God's gift to everybody. But I feel like for you, it's the opposite. Like you've been told the stuff or, you're comparing yourself to other people. And as a result, this mentality of I'm not good enough comes into play. I can't be like them, so I'm not good enough. Or you either say that to yourself or they say it to you, right? And this energy affects your solar plexus chakra, and then it ends up weakening. It ends up getting thrown off balance. and closing up in a lot, well, maybe not closing up, but it definitely weakens. So you have to work on doing that and opening that up. As you open that up, I feel like that is where all this power is going to come from. Okay, so you guys have a lot of cards here that are upright after this is reversed. So when you can rectify this, right, put it upright to the point where you just don't give a what anybody says or what anybody does. You're confident in who you are. You're able to take things in and make them your own and do them in a way that is unique to you. You'll be able to be that much more powerful of a person. I see the Five of Cups or the Five of Swords coming up. So you'll be able to deal with conflict a lot better. Because I feel like for you guys right now, what happens is people come to you and they're coming at you with all these negative things, right? And you are you're like, "You're right." And then you start changing. You know what I mean? Like you're surrendering to the battle instead of saying, "Screw you. You know, this is just who I am." And instead of standing your ground, not even in an aggressive way, but instead of standing your ground, you surrender to them. You let them kind of cave you in. You'll be able to deal with those kind of situations where you're able to stand in your power, and you will be confident in your power. You'll be confident in who you are, right? Um, and cutting people out is not going to be an issue. I feel like for those of you who are comparing yourselves to other people, saying, like, I can never be like them, your mentality will completely change once you get working with that solar plexus chakra. Like, you will be like, well, I'm not like them, and that's okay. That's cool because I'm me, right? You'll become more confident in yourself. For those of you who are having the issue of the naysayers in your ear and lowering your confidence that way because you're taking everybody comparing your ideals, yourself to what everybody says you are kind of thing, you guys will be able to like flip off their their opinions won't matter because you'll be so confident in what you know about yourself and your own truth that whatever everybody else says to you is not going to matter. It's not. It's just irrelevant. It'll become irrelevant. It's not that you guys won't care what other people think. It'll be you will know what to kind of take in and what to leave, right? What advice is going to help you to advance and what advice is just garbage and needs to be thrown out, kind of thing, right? You're not going to let other people's energy affect your own confidence anymore. You're not going to let people's words or actions or anything else affect your own confidence. Does that make sense? You're welcome, Brenda. Okay, that is really rude, and we're just gonna block you. Yeah, Brenda, the chest part would be your heart chakra, right? When you take everything in, you have an overactive heart chakra. And that's why a lot of the stuff is is you're taking everything to heart because you're it's like your heart chakra is wide open and your solar plexus chakra is narrow. Does that make sense? So it's almost like a funnel where everything pours in through your heart chakra, but it doesn't always make it to the funnel's blocked when it comes down into your solar plexus chakra, and like little bits kind of dribble in, kind of thing. Um, so working with the heart chakra and balancing that back out and your solar plexus chakra, like right up in that area, will help. Um, okay, perfect. I'm glad that that made sense. Cool. Okay, guys. So, yeah, definitely. Perfect. Awesome, awesome. That's what I like to hear. Okay. So let's jump into pile threes. This one's interesting. Um, so pile threes. We had two cards come up for you guys. We have surrender your desire to control people. So while pile ones were, or pile twos, the energy we just came out of, were surrendering too much to people. You guys are the opposite spectrum of this. Your guys' victimization is controlling people. You are being a victim to of control. Um, and a victim of needing to control everything. I don't feel like this is just people. I feel like you guys are like control freaks in a lot of ways, and you feel a need to control everything. And again, control is not a bad thing. Nothing in moderation is a bad thing. But these things, the reasons why we're victims to them is because they're excessive, right? The denial card is also coming out, so I feel like this is definitely something you guys are like, I don't have an issue with that. So I don't feel like my pile threes may stick around to hear all of this reading out, because as soon as I start calling people out, they're gonna be like, no, that's not me. Um, when in reality it is. You just don't want to admit it. There's definitely a denial factor in lying and behind all of that. So you guys might not even see how much of a control freak you are. Now, coming from a Scorpio, we are notorious for control freaks. We are the control freaks of the zodiac. The power freaks of the zodiac. So I can honestly say that sometimes, needing to control can come off as so subtle, you don't notice it until it's pointed out to you from somebody else. So if you're watching this, please continue to watch this, because I guarantee you this will make sense at some point. Um, okay. So we have the Knight of Wands coming out as well. You guys, if you're pulled to more than one pile, that could be because there's messages for you in more than one pile as well. So we have the Knight of Wands coming out, along with the Hanged Man reversed, the Page of Wands, the Nine of Wands, the Star card reversed, the Four of Wands reversed, oh my goodness, the Ace of Pentacles, and the Ten of Pentacles reversed. Okay, so like I said, you guys are really falling into this victim, this, you guys are really falling victim of control. But this is a need to control. So you guys are falling into this victimization of needing to have control over everything. You guys are falling victims to being control freaks. And like I said, a lot of you might not even notice this. Like if you're pile threes, it could be so subtle. It could be something as needing to control money, needing to control the actions of people by subtly manipulating them, right? It could be needing to even control yourself. Maybe not other people, but control yourself as well, because you are a person, right? Sometimes this comes across as, we have so much insecurities and we're like, we need to control. We need to control our emotions. We need to control our thoughts. We need to control, right? Sometimes that can even be an inward thing as well. It doesn't always have to be external. It can be external, but for some of you, this might be internal as well, because that just popped into my head. So I feel like there's a control issue here that you're falling victim to. However, again, because the denial card came up behind that, I don't feel like you guys see this. And maybe that's why this is being brought up, because I'm here to point it out to you. And some of you, this might hurt, hence why the little kid crying, because this may be a little bit of a painful message. It may hurt your ego a little bit. I feel like your inner child is connected to two. Okay, so Leo is like your inner child. It is ruled by the sun, and the sun is connected to your ego. Children can be very egoic. And ego isn't always a bad thing, but it can be. I feel like this might it might make your inner child and your ego cry a little bit. So where does this come from? This comes from the night, okay? This comes from being around dominant people, needing to push back on things. I feel like for you guys, you are in positions right now where it is like kill or be killed kind of thing. Every man for themselves environment, right? Where if you don't push back and try and take control of things, you will get trampled on. You will like literally I feel bad for you guys in a lot of ways because I feel like, you guys are the ones that you feel like if you don't push back, you're going to get trampled on and you're going to lose control. So this comes from a fear of not having control, of being a victim, oddly enough, and not having the control and power you need. Because you guys are in a very, very dominant environment, okay? Or again, you may have been taught that you need to control inner stuff as well. Hello, hello, hello. So you guys may have been taught that you need to control yourselves as well. Like this may have come from childhood as well, being seeing as the pictures of a child that connects somehow to this. You guys, if this is an internal thing, like I said, of feeling like we need to control our thoughts, like we need to control our feelings, this generally comes from childhood, from being told that we're overly emotional or we overthink things, and your parents or somebody saying, just get control of that shit, right? So we try to control it. And then we fall a victim to that because we over control things instead of under control them, right? We don't find a balance there. So for some of you, it is coming from childhood. I feel like for those of you who feel like you need to control yourselves, it's coming from childhood. From those of you who feel like you need to control external things like money or people or things, this is coming from growing up in like a dominant environment where it was either do or die. Like if you didn't stand your ground and fight back and take control of shit, you were trampled on, right? And you became a victim yourself. So instead, it's like the bully that becomes a bully, right? Instead of being, or sorry, not a bully that becomes a bully. Somebody who was bullied that becomes the bully, right? They become a bully because they were picked on at some point. And instead of being picked on and continuing to be picked on, they had enough. They snapped. But they took it to the extreme where they started picking on other people as well. It wasn't just they stood up to the person bullying them, they started bullying other people. This is kind of the energy that's coming through with this card. So that's where it's stemming from. Okay. Oh, that's okay. The replay will be up. So what do we do? What do we do to solve this problem and get out of this victim mode of needing to control everything? Get out of this mode of needing to control everything. We need to feel like we need to make ourselves vulnerable a little bit. I think we need to see things from another perspective. I'm getting to see things from an outside perspective. So when this is upright, or sorry, oh, my nose is itchy. When this is reversed, generally this is seeing things from your own perspective. Like when it's reversed, it's seeing things, when it's upright, it's seeing things from a different perspective because the dude's upside down, right? When it's upright, you're only seeing things from a certain perspective. Generally, it's your own. However, the energies that are coming through with this card have nothing to do with that. It's taking yourself outside of your perspective. You got to get outside of your perspective and see things from an outside perspective. So think of it, not necessarily put yourself in the other person's shoes, but turn it on you, okay? And if somebody was that way with you, would you put up with that shit? Okay? You need to turn their perspective to more of a um I'm going to say self-centered perspective because that's the only word that's coming through. And in self-centered, I mean from the perspective of you, okay? So if you were this way with yourself, right? For those of you who are trying to control external things, right? If you were this way with yourself, so let's say you're trying to control somebody's money. If somebody came into your existence and tried to control your money, how would that make you feel? Right? What would your reaction be to that? Because I guarantee you a lot of people would be very pissed off. Right? If you're physically trying to control somebody's actions by telling people what to do, if somebody came into your existence and told you what to do, how would that make you feel? Okay. If you are trying to control yourself, you still need to take yourself outside of this and to view it from the other person's perspective, from an outside perspective, meaning that watch it as if you think of it as if you were watching a movie and say somebody came in and started, who was overly sensitive and told you that you just had to control that shit, right? It's almost like replaying that scene and watching it from the perspective of somebody who's completely outside of the situation, right? So if this was like you as a child, and okay, so for some of you, I said like you may have been like really emotional children, and your parents or people around you didn't know how to deal with it, so they told you just to suck it up, right? You may have skinned yourself, hurt yourself as a child, and started crying, and your parents are like, "Are you bleeding? Are you dying? No, get up, suck it up, deal with it. Don't show your emotions." Particularly, this is more popular with guys than it is women. Men are taught to suppress their emotions a lot more than women are. So I feel like a lot of you watching this might be men who identify with number three. But and also the control factor comes in the male ego and the traditionally male, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh my God, dynamic, so to speak, right? The males are supposed to be the dominant ones. That's what we're taught in society, anyways. That seems to be society's viewpoint on a lot of things for the most part. I'm not saying everybody thinks this way, but men are dominant. They are taught to be dominant. They are taught to repress their feelings. That's why I think a lot of this, people who choose number three are probably going to be men, or they have a lot of masculine energy to them. Okay, maybe you're not physically male, but you may have a lot of masculine energy within your personality. So you guys were taught to, like I said, but imagine if you were a person walking by at that point in time that was unattached to the situation. Let's say you were in the park and you fell and hit skinned your knee, and your mother's like, "Are you bleeding? Are you gushing blood?" No, well then get up and deal with it. you know, um, if you were walking by and saw somebody acting like that to your kid, okay? Or maybe even not your kid, but you've seen somebody acting like that to a child in general, how would that make you feel? Right? See it from another perspective. You have to take yourself outside of that. For those of you who are trying to control yourselves, the object is to take yourself outside and to look in on the situation. For those of you who are trying to control others, the objective is to personalize the situation. So to see it as if somebody were coming to me with the same attitude you're approaching others, how would you react to that? If people were coming to you trying to control the same shit you're trying to control in others or in your environment, how would you react to that? Right? This is how you're going to get out of it, because it's going to bring a whole new realization and a whole different perspective to the way that you are looking at things right now. Okay. This is also going to teach you to put yourself, this is also going to give you, it's going to help you to learn, um, I feel like sympathy in a lot of ways. I know that's going to sound weird, but I keep getting vulnerable. It's going to help you to learn vulnerability and to learn sympathy, empathy. Maybe not vulnerable. Okay, what am I trying? Hold on. They keep throwing words at me. Um, there's like sympathy, empathy, vulnerability. You guys will learn all of this, right? It'll help you to see things from, like I said, another perspective, which will help you to realize how damaging being overly controlling can be. I think that's the point, is to show you how damaging this action can be. And in order to do that, you have to get outside of yourself. You have to see things from another perspective, right? Shouldn't say outside of yourself, but you have to see things from a different perspective. So other people who are trying to control circumstances and other people and things, they're seeing things from their perspective currently. So they have to look at it as somebody coming to them. And if somebody were to come to them, then how would they feel with that same attitude? Somebody trying to control themselves, they have to, like I said, get out of that energy and see things from an outside point of view. Because that's the only way you're going to empathize. That's why they're showing empathy. That's the only way you're going to empathize. Empathize is being able to feel what the other person is feeling, right? If it's yourself and you're watching, if it's an internal control, the only way you're going to feel what you feel being controlled is to take yourself out of that energy. If you are trying to control other people and other things and other circumstances, the only way you're going to feel what that's like is to put yourself in that position where somebody were doing that to you. Okay? You have to cultivate empathy. I know that's going to sound really bad, but that's what I'm getting. So hopefully that was helpful. So just to recap, I'm going to go through a quick recap of them. So pile ones, we're going to take this banner off. So if you chose pile one, you guys are having issues with being perfectionists. You guys are having issues with needing to achieve results. You're being workaholics. This is where you're falling victim. You're working. You need to see results. You are perfectionists. And this is coming from being in environments where people are successful and they're constantly pushing you to be successful. But I also feel like for some of you, this may come from as well seeing people who are successful around you and from envy, from wanting to be where they are, right? You're like, well, they have everything they want and I want to be there, so I'm going to put more pressure on myself. So this comes from pressure, whether it's pressure coming from yourself or pressure coming from somebody else to be in a certain place, right? For those of you where this is external pressure, you guys are being told, like, you have to meet these, you have to make this happen, you have to. And for those of you where the pressure is coming from yourself, it's seeing other people in your lives who are successful and have what you want to achieve and being kind of envious of this and putting pressure on yourself to achieve that. This is where you're falling victim. You're falling into like the monetary kind of mentality and victimization of I don't have enough. I need enough. I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to be able to achieve this. I need to be able to achieve that. The way out of this is to realize that you are only capable of so much and embrace that you are only capable of so much. Nurture yourself. Learn to be okay with where you are in the present. So whenever something comes up where you're like, oh, I wish I could be that, or you feel pressured into doing stuff, take a step back and say, look at it realistically. Is this realistic? Am I going to be able to meet that goal? And take a step back and ask yourself why you're putting so much pressure on yourself. Is it really necessary? Accept what you're capable of and where you are at the moment, because this will help you to move out of these energies. For pile twos, we got comparison with other people. So you guys are falling victim of comparing yourself to other people. Okay. And I got that you guys were either falling victims to comparing yourself to other people from internal or external, right? Where people are externally, so internally, this is you looking at people and saying, I wish I could be like them, or I really want to be like them. Sort of similar to pile ones, but not quite. If it's externally, it's people whispering things in your ear and saying you need to be more like this, and you need to be more like that, and you need to cultivate this, and you need to cultivate that, and you kind of taking it to heart and then starting to compare yourself, or people even verbally saying, why can't you be more like this person, or you need to be more like that, you need to have more of this, you need to have more of that, right? So you start comparing. This comes from, like I said, other people. So pile twos, this is really coming from other people. These may be people you work with or people in your life in general. These are present people who are telling you this, okay? Who are telling you this. Now, it's interesting because these are people you learn from. Okay, so we did have the Page of Pentacles as well come up. This is mentor, this is learning, mentoring, learning. So these could be people you work with in an apprenticeship or an internship or something along the lines of that. But it comes from learning from them. And instead of, like I said, adapting, taking in the knowledge that they have to give you and learning the skills and learning things from them, learning the way to do them, but making it your own, you end up adapting everything. So you end up taking on their personality. You do things the same way they do things. You act, you talk, you look, the whole 9 yards, you end up becoming them instead of being yourself. Okay. So this is definitely coming from an environment where you are idolizing. I also got you're idolizing. These are people, the people you're learning from are people you look up to. They're people you idolize. And that's where part of this is coming from too, because you're like, I said you wanted to be like them, right? How do you work through that? Solar plexus energy. So you have to work with your solar plexus chakra. A lot of you may have, like, it did come up. Another person was saying that they had a lot of heart, like they were touching their heart chakra area. And that is because it's probably overactive. That's why what everybody else says to you means so much. Why what is being communicated to you means so much, and why you're so hard on yourself. You guys don't have you guys have a lot of solar plexus chakra energy deficiencies. So meaning this is really impacting your self-esteem, your confidence, and your sense of self. When you start working with that chakra, start opening it up back up, balancing out your self-esteem, balancing out your sense of self, it doesn't matter what anybody else says. It doesn't matter who anybody else is. You're going to be confident with who you are at this present moment, where you're at, and everybody else can shove off pretty much. That's the energy that's coming through with that. So that's what you guys need to do to straighten that out. And for pile threes, we have the control of other people, your desire to control people. So But I did get that this goes further than people, okay? This is like internal control because again, you're a person, or external control. It could be control of money, could be control of, your need to control situations, things, and people. It goes further than people, much further. But there was also denial around that. So for those of you who are in denial about this, you definitely need to surrender that. I don't feel like everybody's going to be in denial. Like I said, I feel like for pile threes, this is a lot of people with who are either males or have a lot of masculine energy to their personality, meaning they're strong, dominant kind of people. um, this is coming from a need to dominate for one reason or another. So, internally, if you're needing to control yourself, this is coming from being told that you just need to control things, right? This is coming from people projecting energy at you that you need to control things. You're an overly emotional kid, you need to control your emotions. You're a person who's very creative or thinks about things a lot, very up in their head. You need to control your thoughts, you need to control your energy, you need to control some of you, weird shit may happen when you get angry and your emotions get out of control, and that may be something else. But it comes from being told that you need to control this as a child and being in an environment where people were like very always telling you needed to control it. If it's external things, it could have been being in an environment where people are very dominant. So being in a very dominant household where it was either you fought for what you wanted and needed or you became a victim yourself to things, right? So you learned to fight back. Fighting and control, learning to control things was a way of attaining what you needed, pretty much, and a way of fighting back. So, it's like two alphas in one room. You generally end up in a power struggle, right? Because one wants to dominate the other, can't work together. Um, so that's where that comes from. What do you do about it? You got to shift perspectives on it. Okay. So you've got to take a personal perspective on it. You got to make the perspective personal. So you got to take a self-centered perspective on it. And when I say self-centered, I mean a perspective from you, not from you upside down, not a deeper perspective or change of perspective. You need to look at the situation realistically. So again, like I said, if it's somebody who is trying to control things on an external level, whether it be people, circumstances, or things, you need to look at it from the point of view of if somebody were to come to me with the same attitude I'm approaching other people, trying to control the same shit I'm trying to control, how would I react to that? If this is an internal control thing and you're trying to suppress emotions, suppress thoughts, control emotions, control things that instead of controlling them in the sense that you're keeping them stable, you're suffocating things, like you're literally shoving things down. You need to take it from a perspective of looking at it as if it were a movie being played out. If you were to see somebody doing the same thing that you are doing to yourself, what would you say? Right? Like, if you were a little kid who scraped your knee and your mom told you to suck it up and deal with it, what would you say if you were somebody passing by to that little kid? Right? So you need to switch the perspective as to how would I react to that if I were in that situation, because you are in that situation. But you don't necessarily, it's hard for you to see it from that way. So if you switch it, it helps you cultivate empathy, which helps you connect to the other side of that, the other perspective of that. Because right now you're seeing things from one perspective. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's all of the readings, guys, all of them. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Like I said, if you want private readings, there is a link to my Etsy in the comments below. So check that out. And yeah, that is this week's pick a card reading. So I hope you guys found this helpful and informational. And I will see you guys all next week. Be sure to leave some feedback, guys. I love hearing feedbacks. Also, if anybody has any topics that you guys want me to cover in pick a card readings, leave those in the comments too, because I'm always looking for ideas. Right now, I just pull cards to see what the collective needs to know about most. And then I kind of take it from there. So, yeah. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will see you guys all next week. Bye, guys.